It's late, you're trying to sleep, and some thought won't let you. It keeps turning a little louder each time, you can't quite put it down. Or it's the middle of some ordinary day and this wave of dread comes that something you just haven't finished, something you haven't done. Then that's all that's on your mind. Maybe you're caught up in some hyper-focused state, unaware of anything else in the moment, just I am here, and can't seem to break out of it. You didn't choose these states, they tend to arrive on their own. They flow on their own. Try as you might, they don't stop. If you know that feeling, being carried somewhere you didn't choose, this is for you. I'm Dr. Kourosh Dini. I'm a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, and I've worked with this way of being, what I call a wandering mind, in the people I see and in myself for over 25 years. Over the last two videos, we looked at the wandering mind and what's underneath the struggle, agency and trust. Now I want to bring it all together into this single image, this metaphor, this idea that the rest of the series can rest inside. Imagine for a moment being the captain of a sailboat. This boat is where our decisions happen. This is where we, as captain, stand. The boat is neither our work, nor is it the world around us. What it is this is where we are aware and where we decide. Around this boat, what we're aware of is the sea. Everything that comes to us. Want, fear, memory, desire, worry, dream, reminders, conversations, the sounds of the birds outside the window, whatever comes to consciousness. The sea is constantly moving. Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's turbulent. All of these are coming to awareness. Some of what's on that sea, we put there ourselves. Some was put there by the world. Much of it, we may not know where it came from. We can define these waves of what affects our awareness as cresting into our awareness, as emotion. Let me say what I mean by that. Emotion is that which affects, if not crests, into awareness, brushes into our hull of consciousness, whether by crash or caress. I'll say that one more time. Emotion is that which affects awareness, if not crests into awareness, whether by crash or caress. It's a broader use of the term emotion than everyday use. It includes the typical fear, desire, joy, and that. But it could also be thought. Thought is the cresting of emotion into consciousness. Ideas are filled by curiosity, by dread. Whatever they are, they come from some place within us. Could be something as simple as the sight of something you see on the calendar. Now it bubbles some task into mind. Could be a memory that comes to mind when smelling something cooking. All of this is the sea. All of it is what this boat is that we're sailing through with, this boat of awareness. The boat does not stop the sea. The boat is not at war with the sea. The boat is conscious awareness, where we decide what to do with what comes to mind. In this metaphor, our boat is our agency. Here's the thing about this boat and about this kind of mind. There are no brakes. The sea doesn't stop, the waves don't stop, the world doesn't stop. The mind doesn't stop. We can, however, steer. We can choose how to engage. You may have heard a similar metaphor for this kind of mind. Dr. Edward Hallowell has written helpfully, wonderfully about ADHD for decades. He put it on land, saying that it's about a Ferrari strength engine with bicycle strength brakes. The engine is powerful and the brakes feel inadequate. A wonderful metaphor. So I'm offering this boat as a companion picture, a different metaphor in the sea. The shift moves it away from our brakes being too weak for the engine to one where there are no brakes at all. Even so, we can do something that sounds the same, but there is a difference, which is that we can anchor. A brake fights against momentum. you press it against your own motion. And the faster you're going, the harder you have to press. An anchor doesn't fight anything. It gives you a hold, a place to stop drifting while the sea keeps moving around you. So we don't stop the sea, but we can drop anchor. We can pause, take a breath, look at what's here, and choose our next small turn. And that pause isn't empty. There are things that we can do inside it. And the more we practice those things we do within that pause, the more easily a pause can come to us when we feel that it makes sense to us. So in this metaphor, the fix is not to repair the brakes or to brake harder. It's to become a steadier captain who can drop anchor and knows what to do once that anchor is there. That second move, what we do within the pause, is what the rest of this series is about. And that, more than anything else, is what makes the wandering mind situation what it is. For a wandering mind, our engagement with the sea has a particular quality. The condition immediately around the boat is magnified. It's larger than it appears for most. A wandering mind, when it's paying attention to anything, tends to pay deep attention. This is in part where that unusual perception comes from, that powerful perception. It's also where a lot of our troubles can stem from. When this sea, the winds and waters, are moving quickly, that magnified now can feel like scatter. Too many waves too close together, no time to settle on any one of them. Each one of those waves are real. Each one is felt, but it just comes through as this jumble. And it's a magnified jumble. When the sea is confusing, when the patterns aren't resolving, that magnified now can be sensed as overwhelm. Same waves that would feel manageable to, let's say, a less magnified mind, here become huge. It's larger than the boat. We can freeze and drift. When there's something interesting, something captures our mind, that magnified now becomes this hyperfocus. Hours can pass by without noticing. Other parts of the sea, the other parts of the winds and waters, they're all still happening, but they're outside of that magnified field, that view. Each of these come from the same mechanism. The now is large for a wandering mind. Myopic, monotropic, magnified. Those three words describe a lens. Hold a magnifying lens over something, over the water. At the center, everything is vivid, sharp, almost too much. At the edges, it blurs and falls away. That's the now of a wandering mind. The center is enormous and bright. And the not now, the thing we meant to do, the call we meant to make, sits out at that blurred edge, barely felt, easy to lose. The very magnification that makes the center so alive is what lets the edge slip. And what turns that magnification up is the intensity of feeling. The rougher the sea, the tighter that lens becomes. What we're after in the practices that follow is not to reduce the now's magnification, but to be a steadier captain with what we have. Beyond the now is the rest of that sea, that not now. The past, what we remember, regret, what's shaped us in ways we don't always know and understand. The future, what we hope for, what we might fear, what we've committed to, forgotten about. Both of those are real. Both are consciously and unconsciously affecting us. Both are, for the wandering mind, hard to reach. The not now can feel mythical. When someone asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years? The honest answer is, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. It's not a flippant answer. It's a description of how quickly that not now can recede from vision. The wandering mind does not stop caring about the not now. It loses the bandwidth to attend to it. What was supposed to be remembered fades. What was supposed to be planned never arrives. What was supposed to be done sits untouched until something, maybe a deadline, usually something painful, drags it back into the now, our current awareness where it can be felt once again. Much of the practical work in this series is about how to bring that not now back into reach. Not in some painful way, but in some harmony, in a way that works with us, in a way that works with our pace. Not to override the magnification, to honor it and find ways for our past, present, and future selves to meet and meet well. So, given a boat with no brakes, a now that magnifies, and a not now that quickly recedes, what do we usually do? Well, we usually use force, and it tends to take one of two shapes. One is to fight the sea, to push against the waves, to set jaw, to white knuckle, demand of ourselves that whatever it is, we are going to get through this. This is the force that we already got into in the last video. That just start, the shame, the strategies that sometimes work in the short term, but then erode our sense of agency over the long, injuring us. The other is to give in, to let the sea decide, to do whatever the largest current of the moment is doing, waiting for urgency and deadlines, chasing the shiny thing, running from the painful thing, scrolling the phone, sleeping the afternoon away, waiting for the loudest alarm. Both of these are forms of force. Fighting forces us against the sea. Giving in forces the sea against us. Either way, as captain, we're not deciding. Either way, we're not practicing our sense of agency. Practice is to be on the sea, with the sea, and choose what to do with what's there. Not to fight and not to surrender. To stand at that wheel and sense what's arriving and then steer. We cannot win an argument with the sea. We cannot win an argument with emotion. We cannot reason a feeling away or order it to leave, and the good news is we don't have to. Because what we're sensing isn't noise. These waves, these emotions carry information. A feeling is a reading on the instruments. Harder ones like frustration or dread usually tell us we're drifting away from something we need. The warmer ones say that we're returning to those needs. Even anxiety, that formless dread with nothing to point at, begins to crystallize when we can name what's underneath it. The fog of anxiety becomes a fear. And the fear, unlike a fog, is something we can stand in front of and practice a bravery with. It's a move that the practices ahead keep making. The path is the move from force to flow. When the sea is large, we look for help. The most common help that we look for comes by way of tools. Calendars, alerts, pen and paper, apps, reminders, lists of every conceivable kind. A wandering mind has, often, a long history with tools. Bought, tried, abandoned, bought again, tried again. So what do tools do? What do they not do? A tool can hold something for us so we don't have to hold it. It can present something at a useful moment. It can stay out of the way when it's not relevant. It can even help us realize a vision. These are real services. I use many of them, and this series uses tools. But a tool by itself is not captain. It's a piece of rigging. It can support us and our work, but it won't replace either. Most of the times that tools fail for a wandering mind, the failure wasn't the tools, it was that the tool was being asked to do our job. We practice, and the tools support that practice. This series is built around 5 foundational practices, and they form a mnemonic, waves. Each letter names a way that we can be and engage with the sea, the winds and waters that are around us. In brief, these are wander, which is our default. We can always wander. It's what our mind does on its own. There's nothing wrong with wandering. Sometimes it's exactly where we need to be. Sometimes it's a source of rest. Other times it's this fount of creativity, and it isn't to be eliminated. It is vital. A for anchoring. It's this practice of stabilizing our sense in this now. When the sea is loud and we can't quite sense what's there, we can drop anchor, pausing, recognizing our options, and then choosing amongst them. V for visit. A visit is a unit of work or play in which we can simply be with something. We don't have to finish it, not even start it necessarily. We're there with it for maybe only as long as a single deep breath. And while we're there, we can choose to nudge it forward or not. This might seem odd, but if there's one practice from this series that can by itself help change the texture of your work, your relationship with it, it's the visit. E for engage. We relate to our work in any number of ways, ranging from our vision of it through performance, from self through world. Engaging is how we connect. It's also how we work, sometimes even can find play within our work. We can practice that range, even set up our tasks to take advantage of that range. And then there's S for station. A station is anything that holds our intentions for our future selves. A task, a list, a calendar, an alert, a book left on the nightstand to read. Stations are how the not now reaches the now. When we arrange these well, they can be this reliable source, something that we can decide from rather than be ambushed by them. Now there's a particular tension among these 5 that I'd like to point at, because it shows up in nearly every chapter ahead. Wandering is internal. It's what we do when we follow that sea wherever it goes. We decide to move this way or that. Stationing is external. It's what we've set up so that something's appearing on the horizon, this list, alert, daily structure, something that can call back to us at hopefully the right moment. We're looking to create a harmony between these, where we can guide our play and our work in some kind of union, where what feels natural and meaningful finds support from the world around us, where what comes to us isn't unwelcome, while we can engage from within. Wander and station. They don't fight. We look to harmonize them. And the rest of the series is about how. As an aside, there's a printable companion that walks through these practices. It's called The Waves Quick Reference, and I have a link to it below, and it's free. So that's the picture. A boat with no brakes, a captain who can steer but not stop, a magnified now, a not now that recedes, tools that support but don't replace our work, and 5 practices that set the foundation, that can build on each other over time, waves. All these together for finding a steadiness within. The rest of the series goes through these practices one at a time. And in the next video, we'll begin with W, wandering. It's the kind of play and practice that can grow from wandering, including a practice of finding what's called a window of challenge. So our next step is wandering, and I hope to see you there.